Peace and wellness to the family. Y'all got something good for y'all right now, yo. I got something really, really, really good for y'all. Especially for my entrepreneurs. This is a very good strategy that we can use to help us on our entrepreneur journey. And even if you are not an entrepreneur, there's certain things that you can apply in this lesson that can be beneficial for you in life. Now, this is a strategy that I like to call the 3 I's. The 3 I's. The 3 I's being inner work, isolation, and integration. These 3 I's are a strategy that I came up with to help entrepreneurs through meditation, self-care, and everyday life. Knowing that our business is a life. Our business is a cause, as we talked about before. So the 3 I's is going to help us bring everything together, and it's a real good strategy that we can use to keep everything in order, and especially for those who tend to get consumed along this path and along this journey, because we go through so many transmutations, so many different changes, and trying to incorporate this in our way of life and our daily life as mothers, fathers, family members, relatives, friends, and companions in relationships. I did this 3I analogy with the big 3. If you don't know who the big 3 is, this is it. To me, it aligned up perfectly with the big 3 of the Boston Celtics in 2008. If you're not familiar with the big 3 of the Boston Celtics in 2008, that was Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. Today, we are going to use the facilitation of Rajon Rondo for the isolation in one of the I's in the 3I strategy. Now, I'm gonna do another one where I will incorporate Ray Allen more so in the isolation, but I thought it was more appropriate to use Rajon Rondo, since he was the facilitator of the offense, even though Rajon Rondo wasn't technically a part of the big 3. So let me clarify that before we continue. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to start from the bottom, and I'll make my way up to the top, because the bottom is where the foundation is, right? So the foundation is integration. Integration is going to be very important for us as entrepreneurs. Why? Let me tell you why. We tend to get consumed in our path, in our journey as entrepreneurs, finding our way and trying to make things happen. We start off as solopreneurs. We might not be doing a whole lot of back-end businesses, building our team, so we do a lot on our own, but we have to find a way to get our family and our kids, our mothers and fathers out there. This is good for us. Get our kids involved and be mindful that we can't neglect them along on this journey, because we will get consumed. We will get caught up in the vision so much, in our business so much, that we can go through a phase of rejection for them. And we can be standoffish, and we get real consumed within our business model to the point where they feel like they don't feel loved. You know, so let's take a step back for a second. So how does this relate in integration in the big 3? We're gonna relate this to Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett, when they won the championship in 2008, Kevin Garnett kept saying a phrase of anything is possible. Kevin Garnett was very passionate, and the story behind Kevin Garnett was he left a team that he was with prior, which was the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he had to integrate himself and incorporate himself into a new family, which was the Boston Celtics, right? But the thing about Kevin Garnett was he was willing to do whatever it took to make his team win, right? So what Kevin Garnett did was he mastered a skill set. He mastered a mid-range post set shot. I take that back. He mastered his post game with a mid-range jump shot and a mid-range post skill set of skills off of the pivot with his back to the basket, but mainly the mid-range post and his mid-range shot. He mastered that skill, right? Not only did he master that skill, he made sure that he was very, very embracing embrace of his new family, which was the Boston Celtics. And he knew he was surrounded by a family or a team that could go far and that can possibly win a championship, right? Which they went on to do. So KG's passion drove him, just like our business passion drives us. So just like Kevin Garnett had to incorporate and implement his new family within his lifestyle that he was excited about to show that, hey, look, I'm willing to do whatever it takes for our team to win. It's the same thing that we have to do as entrepreneurs with our family. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to see my family win. If that means that I have to get y'all involved with the business in some type of way and make it fun, I have to integrate y'all into what I do in some type of way, find out different strategies and ways that I can that I can incorporate my kids and show them different things to involve them in my business. If I know I'm going to have my kids and I have the things to do for my business, I have to find a way to involve them in it so I don't neglect them while I'm doing my work. It's just as if you were working a 9-to-5 job and you can't spend time with. We're taking on a business. We don't want to take on another job, and eventually we want our business to find ways to run itself so we can spend more time for our family. So why not start now and involve our kids and our family and be mindful of the neglect that could happen if we don't, because we get real consumed, right? So we have to find new ways to involve them. And show them ownership. And that's the key. See, we get so caught up in business that we get so caught up in working in our business instead of working our business and finding strategies for our business can work itself through digital products, creating things one time to be able to make passive income off of it. And this doesn't mean that this actually has to be a family business. Us as black business owners and other business owners, this doesn't have to be a family business. This could be a business that we start, and this is to be a business that we cultivate and mold to where we can sell a portion of it to an investor, and we can get into other ventures while that investor expands the business. So it doesn't mean that you are incorporating your kids because you want to pass the business on to them. It simply means that you're showing them the family aspect of how we can work together and ownership. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily trying to create a family business or pass down this particular business as generational wealth, because it doesn't have to be the case. Your kids might want other options, and your business can create those other options through other ventures, but you can show them different things by way of integration in the business that you started initially or one of the businesses that you have. This is very important, right? So the business passion matches with the passion of KG when he was implemented into a new team, which was the new family of the Boston Celtics. He was the foundation of the Boston Celtics. He was so passionate, and he was like the engine that kept the family running because he got everybody involved. KG got everybody involved just by way of passion and just by way of being present. He was so present and he was willing to do anything it took for the team to win. So this is very important, right? Shout out to KG on that. So let's go to the next one. Isolation. Now, isolation doesn't necessarily mean it has to be from people. We're talking about isolating ourselves from any distractions that might be keeping us away from our vision. Any distraction that might be keeping us away from our vision, we have to isolate ourselves from that. And Raja Rondo is going to be representing the isolation aspect of the 3 I's. Why? Because Raja Rondo had tunnel vision. He was the facilitator of the offense. He was the executionist. And not only that, Raja Rondo had tunnel vision. He was a divergent thinker. He had to come up with different solutions for different offenses, for different defenses that they saw to be able to assist his team in scoring and in winning. So he had to be able to identify new ways to solve problems, new ways to get past the offense, how to isolate, move out of the way, and not only can I score, but I can find my open teammate for us to be able to execute and be able to score and be able to execute properly. Because I'm the head of the offense. I'm running the offense to where I have to make sure that we execute. And sometimes when you run an ISO, it is all you by yourself, right? That's what the isolation is. It is you by yourself, where you have to make the best decision. but your decision affects the whole team. Your decision is going to determine if you're going to turn the ball over or if you're going to get the score or if you're going to get the bucket. Your decision making has a lot riding on it. Rajon Rondo was a master at that. It goes back to the MAM tactic, that monitoring accurate moderation. Monitoring accurate moderation. This is another tactic that I came up with when it comes to understanding yourself on a level of, you don't always have to stop cold turkey. You can set small goals for yourself. You can see things and find different ways to solve different problems and conflicts within yourself, and solve one each task by task. Take it play by play. That's what Rajon Rondo did. This is how they was able to win the championship. Rajon Rondo was a master at this, right? He wasn't the best shooter. He was not the best shooter, but he was able to execute by the way of his vision. And he became one with the vision, as we talked about before. He became one with the vision on the court. And he wasn't easily distracted. He was very focused. He had tunnel vision. This will be the way that you can focus solely on the vision that you're creating for yourself. If you can isolate yourself from the distractions, it don't have to necessarily be people like we said before, but the distractions of, going out, the distractions of scrolling on your phone, the distraction of toxic relationships, the distraction of the family not working right, the distraction of you neglecting your family because of something you're trying to start, and you're focused on winning so much that you forget that you have a team that you can utilize to help you win, to integrate them inside of your win. So it is your responsibility to facilitate them, to put them in position to win along with you. If you put them in position to win, you're gonna win. Okay, this is what Rondo was so good at, man. So think about the way that a point guard has to run the offense. Not only does he have to run the offense, he has to execute. He has to make the best decisions. That's why I think point guards are some of the best divergent thinkers that on the planet, because they have to make decisions on the bounce of a ball, in a moment's time. They have to make a decision, because in between that, the time they make that decision, it's going to be a turnover or it's going to be a win for the team or a bucket for the team. And Rajon Rondo was a master at assists. His assist game was just incredible. So in the 3 eyes, the isolation doesn't always have to be away from people, but any distraction that's keeping you away from becoming one with the vision and facilitating your business. As Rajon Rondo facilitated the offense with his tunnel vision, and they were able to be successful in 2008 when they became champions. Okay, let's go to the third eye. The inner work of the 3 eyes in relation to the big three. So in the inner work, Paul Pierce is going to be representing the inner work. Okay, let me tell you some things about Paul Pierce. Well, when we're talking about inner work, we're talking about overcoming obstacles within that could be the root of the problem, causing conflicts on your outer world. Whether it be abandonment issues, whether it be depression, whether it be past traumatic stress, whether it be anxiety, paranoia, things that are going on inside of you that is putting a hold of you on you manifesting the things that you want to see without. Your inner world is a direct manifestation of what's going on your outer world, right? Okay, so Paul Pierce in 2000 got into an incident where he was stabbed 11 times. Paul Pierce was stabbed 11 times in an incident to where he actually succumbed to some very, very serious injuries. But Paul Pierce, to talk a little bit about Paul Pierce and how tough and resilient he was. He was stabbed 11 times. He was in critical condition. Paul Pierce, to me, in my opinion, had to have some real deep inner work and inner strength, because he came back that same season, played 82 games, and actually made the pre-workouts after he was a stab victim of that 11 times. Within that moment right there, now we know Paul Pierce is an NBA champion of 2008. This incident happened in 2000. Paul Pierce was a champion in my book when he was able to come back and play 82 games. He was able to come back and play 82 games. And not only did he play 82 games in 2000, he made the preseason workouts after being stabbed 11 times. Paul Pierce, inner work, had to been so powerful and in depth for him to conjure up the willpower and the strength to be able to come back and play 82 games after being stabbed like that 11 times, and to be able to come out and play 82 games. And Paul Pierce was a champion way before they won a championship in 2008. This is no joke. Paul Pierce has always been a champion. He will always be a champion just off his willpower and his inner strength. His inner dialogue, his inner communication with himself had to been so deep for him to be able to conjure up the strength and the power to say, you know what, no, I'm going to do this. And not only I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this to the max. Think about how these players do load management. They get these injuries and they sitting out all these games during the season. Paul Pierce is a different type of animal when it comes to inner work, because he played all 82 games that season after getting stabbed 11 times. He is the definition of willpower. In my book, he is a champion. He was a champion in 2000 before he even knew he was going to be a champion in 2008. Okay, so when we're talking about the inner work, the letting go of deep-rooted problems and traumas you might have been through at a younger age that's affecting you now. Sometimes we can hold on to things and they be locked inside our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind, it controls 85 to 90% of our actions anyway. So if we have these things locked in, if we have these root problems locked in within us, that means they're controlling our reactivity, they're controlling our feelings and emotions on a regular basis, they're controlling our behaviors, they're controlling all these things that we think that we are. We think that we are all these things, but based off past traumas that happened to us, and we don't even realize that we're being controlled by them. When we can recreate our whole reality, if we identify with these things, do the inner work and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to heal from these things. But we have to first identify with what these things are and what the root of the problem is. And when we face dilemmas and when we face calamities like Paul Pierce did when he was stabbed 11 times, I'm pretty sure he went through a lot of things that he went through in his life that was the hard times. Things was going through him like, you know, am I going to be able to get through this? And when I do get past this, what am I going to do with it? How am I going to take advantage of it? What type of person am I going to be? All these things you have to impress on your subconscious mind to be able to prove to yourself, and so you can project out consciously what it is, that the reality that you want to create. But your intentions have to be pure in order to manifest. That's the things about what people talking about manifesting. You got to have a manuscript. And what kind of intentions do you have behind your manifestations? Okay, so I truly believe that Paul Pierce actually manifested his championship in 2008 by way of him getting stabbed in 2000, by his inner work that he did in that during that time when he had those serious injuries, and he was sitting up in the hospital thinking about if he was even ever going to be able to play basketball again. This was his passion. This was his love. He played college at Kansas to come into the NBA to do what it is that he loved to do. Now he's sitting up in the hospital bed, not knowing if he's ever going to be able to do that again. But if he was ever given the chance, he would take full advantage of it. Now he knew this while he was going through them injuries. Why? How do we know we knew this? Because he impressed it on the subconscious mind, because he proved it when he came back and played all them 82 games and made the preseason workouts. He was devoted. He already had put the devotion in his subconscious mind and said, you know what, if I can get another chance, if I get out of this, I'm going to go to the max. And this is what we have to do in business. When we're doing inner work within ourselves, we have to check our inner dialogue. We have to check our inner conversations and say, hey, look, This is what it is that I'm going to do. If I have to set small tasks for myself and complete those first and build up to the big ones, whatever it is that I have to do, my resilience is going to become my brilliance. Because I'm going to be so resilient that my people with higher IQ levels than me is not going to stand a chance because they're not going to be as resilient as me. Paul Pierce was not the most athletic. Paul Pierce was not the fastest. Paul Pierce was not the most agile. Paul Pierce was not, he was not the most jumping out of the gym player. He was not. But what Paul Pierce was, he was the toughest, he was the most resilient, and he was the most dedicated. And this is what we have to do in business and our entrepreneurship journey. We have to be the most resilient, we have to be the most dedicated, and the most devoted. Because if not, when you're on this journey, you'll never be able to find out these new things about yourself. This is what the 3 I's is going to do to you. It's going to do for you. Integration, isolation, and inner work. See, Paul Pierce might not have been the most athletic, but he understood. He understood if he set a goal for himself and put it in a place inside of himself to say, hey, you know what? This is what I'm going to set for myself. This might be a setback, but it's setting me up. It's setting me up to come into a place to come into a person that I've never became before and show the world that if you put your resilience and your willpower and your burning desire first and you move on that with consistency, there's nothing that you can't accomplish. And you don't have to be the most fastest, the quickest, the most agile, have the best crossover, and you don't have to have none of that. But what you do have to have is work ethic, an open mind, willing to learn, be at one with your teammates, be at one with building a team, be open-minded to understanding where the foundation starts. Be open-minded with how you need to use isolation to be able to block out anything that's taking you off focus. The inner work is what is going to do all that. And Paul Pierce took that time to do the inner work, and within manifestation of that, he was able to win a physical championship in 2008. But in all actuality, he became a champion when he was stabbed 11 times. In that moment, I believe Paul Pierce, in his recovery process, became a champion. And that's what we have to do. In this process of becoming entrepreneurs, we are champions. Earl Nightingale said, as soon as you had the thought of a goal and went in pursuit of that goal, you became a success. So it's all about how do we or you define success. And this is what these strategies are set up for to help us. These strategies are set up for to help us in self-disciplinary science to be able to say, hey, look, this is how I'm going to set myself up for the success that I define for myself. Me personally, how do I define success? I define success with inner peace, blissful, harmonious peace within myself. Because I know if I have blissful, harmonious peace within myself, my outer world is going to reflect that. My financial world is going to reflect that. My spiritual stamina is going to reflect that. And everything that I desire I'm gonna have, and everything that I think that I desired will change based on the inner work and the root problem work and the shadow work that I do on myself. You understand what I'm saying? So this is why the 3 I's is gonna help us as entrepreneurs in relation to the big 3. Shout out to the NBA champs of the 2008. I thought this was a great analogy to be able to break this down as far as it goes with the 3 I's and how you can utilize them moving on your entrepreneur journey. And even in life, don't let nothing consume you and take you away from your family. Involve your family, involve your kids as fathers and as mothers. Involve them in what you're doing in some type of way. Isolate yourself from the distractions that's keeping you away from anything that brings you internal happiness. Take it out of your life. Cut it off. The inner work speaks for itself. The inner work has to be done in order for you to become the person that you are trying to picture within your head. If you have a goal to become a person and you seem to be not getting there into that mental image that you have created for yourself, and for the ones that have not created the mental image for yourself, it's okay to. It's okay for you to say, hey, you know what? But if you haven't had a sick of your own moment, then you might not have came to the point of understanding how important it is to be or to go in deep inside of self and do the work to bring out your true self. If you haven't discovered that yet, but you will have a moment. You will have a moment where you see yourself and you will self-reflect and say, hey, you know what? I'm not satisfied with the way that my life is going based on my reactivity, my behaviors, and my patterns, and the way that I think in a sense of how my thought patterns have not evolved. We're gonna fail, and that's when you get into the self-evolution stage of your ideology evolving, your philosophy evolving, your parenthood evolving, your thought patterns evolving, the way that you carry yourself, your persona, your self-image will evolve. All this comes from the inner work that you do, but it takes a lot of bravery to be able to take the self-accountability to get yourself to that point. You understand what I'm saying? So it's okay if you haven't got there. Make it a goal to understand yourself better, to go through the eternal alchemy, the spiritual alchemy, the mental alchemy, to be able to say, you know what? I'm not scared of a transmutation, to be able to put myself in a better place. Why am I content with living in this way? Am I content because I was born into a place of inferior ways and actions and I think this is normalcy? No, this is not normalcy. Right? So the 3 I's is going to, whether you're in business or not, it can help you through life. Okay? So I want y'all to implement this and to think about this. Okay? I want to say also too, I appreciate everybody that's been rocking with me on my YouTube. I hope this helps. I'm going to leave a final word with, go ahead and check out my website, www.mysupremewellbeing.com. Peace and wellness to the family.